Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. In our business environment today, distribution centers are being forced to cut costs. Inventory slotting has become a top priority within the supply chain industry. I define slotting as properly identifying the inventory levels within a specific storage location that allows your warehouse employees to complete orders in an efficient manner. When we look at going through a slotting exercise, we want to take into 3 points for our discussion. The first is going to be our product size, which is going to be the cube. The second will be the type of equipment that we're going to be using. We're going to call this storage. The third is the movement of inventory, or velocity of the inventory. Now, when we start a project, we want to understand and define what is cube of a product. Cube is going to be the height, the width, and the depth, as well as the weight of each individual stock keeping unit. Now, many industries or many organizations do not keep cube information. If you do keep it, you're well ahead of the game. We recently did a project for a client of ours. There's 2 of them. And there's 2 methods that we go through in order to obtain cube information. The first is the good old-fashioned tape measure. We give tape measures out to employees. We ask them to go out to the various inventory locations and start measuring. Well, there's a problem with this. It's inaccurate. Each employee is going to have a little different way of measuring that product and how they write it down. What kind of shortcuts do they take? How accurate is the information? We really don't know. The best method is to use electronic devices such as a Cubiscan by Quatronics. This is a mobile device that's on a cart that you can wheel to each individual stock location, place the product onto a scale, and it has other devices on it, and by simply pressing one key, within seconds you've captured the height, the width, and the depth, as well as the weight, very accurately, very consistently. First client that we worked with used a Cubiscan. On average, it took them about 1 minute 20 seconds to cube each SKU, or stock keeping unit, for an cumulative time of about 83 hours. They worked about 5 hours a day on this project, and it only took them 16 days to complete. Client 2, with a tape measure, took an average of 3 minutes and 30 seconds to capture cube, with an cumulative time of about 215 hours. They also worked about 5 hours, 6 hours a day. It took them 43 days to complete the project. Now, by using a Cubiscan, you save 2/3 your time. Time is money, correct? The next area we want to define is looking at our storage. Storage is where do we put the product and how do we find the characteristics of maybe a pallet rack or a shelving within that distribution center. It's the amount of inventory that can be stored within a location. We recently worked with the state of Utah Alcoholic Beverage Control on their distribution center, and they asked us to help them with their slotting. They had about 8,000 pallet locations within their facility, and they were at 100% utilization. 100% means every location in that facility was occupied. It's very poor. We like to keep about 85% utilized within a facility. So we sat down with the management and started looking at what could we do to resolve the problem. Well, the state of Utah had a rule of thumb, one size fits all. Well, after understanding the characteristics and a little bit more about their product cube, we came up with 3 sizes to be used within the facility. After going through the slotting exercise, we ended up having a 60% utilization of the storage rack compared to their original 100%. So we can actually look at that as a 40% increase in storage capacity within the facility. Pretty significant. The last area we want to look at is the velocity, the movement of our inventory. What we like to look at is not just a 3-month or 6-month, but a 12-month period of historical data of inventory movement for that 1-year period of time. Once we get an understanding of total pieces moved for 1 year and have an understanding of then the number of days that we work within that calendar year, we can come up with pieces moved per day. We simply put that in a spreadsheet and sort it by pieces per day in descending order. This gives us our velocity. We rank those by simple categories of A, B, and C. A is going to be our fastest movers. B movers are going to be medium, average moving pieces. Our C movers are going to be what we call our dogs. Those items, usually you're selling only 1 or 2 items a month out. Maybe you want to look at maybe removing those from the inventory. Now that we have all the pieces put together in regards to our cube, our storage media characteristics defined, and our velocity, what's the next step? We need to look at how do we put all that information together to give us a slide solution. In the past, we used to take all this massive information, put it into spreadsheets and databases, merge the information, put it in a descending order, and start manually looking at the facility and picking and choosing where each one of those items would go as a best guess to create efficiencies within the operation. It's okay. It's not the best method. The best method is use advanced PC technology that's out there, which is called Slot 3D. We use this in our office to go through sliding exercises with our clients. The nice thing about this software package is we use AutoCAD to do our planning services on all of our projects. Slot 3D allows us to incorporate that 2D drawing into their 3D software. So we can actually build the structure or the storage media in 3-dimensional models. We can take the inventory and we take the cube and put it into the Slot 3D, and it automates the process for us. And it's a very quick process. We build our characteristics, set some switches, and we can watch the model being built. And we can actually then look at a 3-dimensional model where each of those inventory items are stored. If we sit down with the client and they say, well, based on our business model, that doesn't work, we can very quickly change a few parameters and rerun it. The nice thing with this technology is that we can run multiple scenarios within hours, compared to the old method, which we usually only had one chance. Now, going through a sliding exercise takes time. We typically take about 10 to 12 weeks just to start collecting the data, understanding the characteristics, and looking at the information and the velocity that we're trying to assemble for the project. Once that information is compiled, we need about 2 or 3 weeks to put the sliding scenario together to get to the final result. Now, implementation of that plan is dependent on you as the client, because again, how big is your facility? What kind of restraints do you have within the facility? How many locations are we dealing with, and how many SKUs are we facing to put into new locations? So some of the challenges we look at. Now, the efficiencies that you're going to gain as you go through a sliding exercise, you're going to increase your picking productivity. You can increase your picking productivity because now we're properly placing inventory in the correct location that gives the picker the most efficient path to pick, which is about a 40% savings in walking time. And walking time is the biggest expense in the distribution center today. Warehouse storage utilization, just as the story I showed you today in regards to the state of Utah. We were able to reduce the storage capacity, which then, or the cube, which also increased the ability to store additional product as that arrived in. Now, when you start a sliding project, it isn't a one-time project. It should be part of your ongoing maintenance of your facility. You should look at it based on a quarterly basis, maybe once a year, or if you're a seasonal type operation where you have maybe lawn chairs and Christmas trees, you need to look at it maybe through the seasons and how those different seasons impact your inventory. So as you move forward, I hope that these simple steps that we use for our slotting clients will help you as you move forward on your project.